The latest news, national issues, the political scene, and conversations with prominent personalities. All these firsthand at the forefront. PDP-Laban senatorial aspirant Atty. Raul Lambino has positioned himself as one of the staunch legal defenders of former President Rodrigo Duterte amid the latter's arrest last Tuesday. Advocating for due process, he is also spearheading legal efforts to challenge FPRRD's detention, branding it as political persecution. His advocacy appears to be gaining traction from Duterte supporters, who view the arrest as an attack on Philippine sovereignty. Will the fight for due process of Duterte allies also translate to favorable results in the May elections? With us this morning at the BNC studio is the senatorial aspirant of PDP-Laban, Atty. Raul Lambino. Good morning, Atty. Raul.
Good morning, Atty. Karen, and good morning to the millions of viewers of your program.
I hope millions talaga. But Atty. Raul, how did you become close to former President Duterte?
Well, before the elections in 2016, if I remember right, about 16 months before May 2016, former President Fidel Ramos and a few retired officers of the armed forces went to Davao to talk to Mayor Digong at the time and persuade him to consider running for the presidency. And then I was asked to help in the campaign for PRRD. So we formed this group, we call it the Champs of Rodi Duterte, headed by former Executive Secretary Bingbong Mijaldea and former National Security Advisor Jun Esperon, who was very close to the then President Fidel Ramos. So we went out our way and tried to tell PRRD that you have the support of ordinary people, and we were very thankful that he considered running in the 2016 election. Then after that, PRRD appointed me as his presidential advisor for Northern Luzon with a cabinet rank and another position that is as chairman and CEO of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority. So I left my private law practice and I joined government after so many years of convincing. I did not join government under President Fidel Ramos. I remained to be a practicing lawyer. So too, during the time of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, I did not join her government. I remained as her lawyer and consultant, but not as one working in government. But it was only President Duterte, when I consulted former President Arroyo, that I got this offer from PRRD, and then President Arroyo said, well, you refused me before. Please don't refuse the president now. So I accepted the job and the challenge, and I was very thankful. I am not regretting anything that I have served the government under PRRD.
So it sounds like you believed in former President Duterte way before he started going up in the ratings, because I remember when he decided to run, in the surveys, he was, I think, 4%.
Yes, Atty. Karen.
So isa ka dun sa mga nauna na naniwala na sa kanya.
As early as almost 2 years before the election, because I remember right, it was September 2014 when I joined this group called CORD, the Champs of Rodi Duterte.
What is it about former President Duterte that made you believe in him? Na una, magpresidente siya. Pangalawa, like you were offered to be in government during the time of President Ramos, President Arroyo, but it was under President Duterte that you agreed to serve in government.
I am very passionate of constitutional reform. And you know that. Your mother and I have been championing the move to change the 1987 Constitution, and we need to have real reform in government, both structural and both systemic. And we see in PRRD the person who could possibly change the system of government that we have, which is a centralized, over-centralized unitary form of government, into a federal, decentralized system of government. And if possible, we are going to have a parliamentary system. And considering that PDP-Laban, the party of which PRRD belongs to, and me too, is championing federalism. So that is the primary motivation why I had supported PRRD, to help transform the country into a more accountable, transparent governance through a federalism and parliamentary system of government.
So let's go now to where we are right now with former President Duterte being arrested,
Yes.
supposedly because of the ICC, why are you questioning the validity of that arrest?
Well, first and foremost, our position is very clear. And as a lawyer, that is also my personal position, that ICC has no jurisdiction anymore to any Filipino citizen or to any resident in the Philippines, whether he is a Filipino or not, but he is in the Philippines, that ICC doesn't have any jurisdiction over any person who is in the Philippines since 2019, when the Philippine government opted to get out of the International Criminal Court. You see, there are more than 60 countries all over the world who are not members of the ICC, including the United States, Russia, China, Israel, and Indonesia, Pakistan. These are very big countries, powerful countries, and they say that it is really a surrender of sovereignty, diminution of the right of a state to be a sovereign nation if you will be under the ICC. And given that we have already get out of the ICC, whatever investigations that were conducted prior to the 2019 year that we get out of the ICC should be considered no longer valid. We studied that in law, Attorney Karen. Now, we have this principle of ex post facto law. Cannot apply ex post facto law unless it is favorable to the accused. You see? So that law, the act of the Philippine government in getting out of the ICC should be given a retroactive effect because that will favor all possible accused or of accused that are being investigated. Now, secondly, even assuming that ICC may still have jurisdiction over those alleged crimes committed from 2011 when the ICC Rome Statute was ratified by the Senate, and 2019, we have an existing judicial system. We had a working, effective judicial system. Investigations were already done from 2011 to 2016 against Mayor Duterte at that time of the alleged crimes in Davao City. Who investigated this? The Secretary of Justice, Laila de Lima. They were in power. They had done everything they could. So
are you saying that those investigations did not lead to any cases being filed?
Did not lead to any cases filed, and very clearly under the principle of complementarity, pursuant to the Rome Statute itself, and that is provided for under Article 17 of the Rome Statute, that if the state has investigated or prosecuted, then cases in the ICC pertaining to those matter would be inadmissible.
Well, what can you say about the statement of the DOJ, Department of Justice spokesperson, said yesterday, Miko Clavano? He said that the fact that the Philippines cooperated with the ICC and Interpol's request shows that we have a working judicial system. From a lawyer's perspective, do you think that it's kind of contradictory with this principle of complementarity that is one of the basis of ICC's jurisdiction?
I'm really shocked that a statement like that came from a high-ranking official of the Department of Justice. First, he contradicted the statement of of President BBM that the Philippine government will not cooperate, will not do anything about the ICC investigation, etc., that we only have to act on the request of the Interpol. Now, the Undersecretary of Justice said, no, they cooperated. No. Second, is the Department of Justice the competent judicial authority mentioned in Article 59 of the Rome Statute? No. The Department of Justice is not a court. Hindi po ito korte, hindi po ito judicial authority. The only judicial authority here would be the entities under the Supreme Court, from the Supreme Court down to the Municipal Trial Court. That is the meaning of judicial competent authority in the Philippines. Because the Department of Justice is the prosecutorial arm under the Executive Department. It's not under the Judicial Department. And therefore, it could not properly act under Article 59 of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. So it was wrong. And the statement of the good undersecretary, if he said that, then they are part of what I call the large-scale government conspiracy to kidnap Rudy Duterte. Because purely this is kidnapping. If you are going to take a look at circumstances that led to the to the banishment of PRRD to the Netherlands from the arrest, detention, and the forcible taking out of Duterte. That is pure and simple kidnapping.
Was he really deprived of his right to counsel? Because when he was detained in Villamor Air Base, from what we understand or
Yes.
know, General Torre was saying he has counsel there. So, meron po ba siyang counsel talaga at that time?
Well, pinaka-importante, na-deprive siya ng kanyang the most important cardinal right of every person in the Philippines, the right to due process, guaranteed under Section 1 of Article 3 of our Constitution, which states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process of law, nor shall anyone be denied of the equal protection of the laws. Concurrent with that, for persons who are accused or charged of any crime, they have the right to counsel, and not just any lawyer, not Attorney Karen or Attorney Lambino can be acting as counsel of the accused. He has the right to choose the counsel whom he believes would be competent enough to defend his rights pursuant to whatever laws that he is charged against. Ito pinag-usapan natin, Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. I can say now that I am not expert in pursuant to all this particular provisions of law.
Very few people have any expertise.
That's why very few
the
Filipino
statute.
lawyers are listed as counsel that can appear in the ICC. And so, knowing the former president, he himself as a lawyer, no, he could have said, no, I do not need a lawyer. I'm a lawyer myself. A.S. Mijaldea is a very, very brilliant lawyer. Attorney Delgra, who are there, they are also very brilliant lawyer. But they are not the lawyers that PRRD would like to talk to.
They're not as well-versed in the Rome Statute.
Maybe they're well-versed.
Sino palagay nyo ang mga pwedeng humarap or merong competence to harap to go to the ICC?
PRRD said that I am waiting for my daughter, meaning Vice President Sara, who is a lawyer, to act as his counsel. Hindi pinapasok. Hindi pinapasok si Atty. Panelo, who I understand that he just arrived also from Hong Kong in the afternoon, and he would like to see the president. And Atty. Panelo would be very competent because he was the presidential legal counsel during the time of PRRD. Hindi rin siya pinapasok. Hindi rin pinapasok si Atty. Silvestre Bello, former Secretary of Justice, former Solicitor General, close to the president. They were buddies since they were in college. Hindi rin pinapasok. No? These are the possible three people of the choice of the president to represent him in these particular instances. So, he was deprived of the right to counsel. Hindi yung the right to counsel is any lawyer. Right to a competent counsel. Itinuturo natin ito sa constitutional law, Attorney Karen, and I've been teaching this for 20 years. No? And in series of decisions of the Supreme Court, the right to counsel is the right to a competent counsel.
So given the violations of due process that you allege, what do you think can be the remedies for former President Duterte? You filed a TRO in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
This was denied.
We filed a petition for certiorari and prohibition immediately upon knowing that he was already arrested and detained in the Villamor Air Base, and with a prayer for issuance of a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. Attorney Torion, who was tasked to file this petition, was able to do so around 3 minutes before 4:30, if I'm not mistaken, of the time. You know, the Supreme Court, 4:30, they are going to close. They're not going to accept any pleading already. But he was able to file it on time, I think 4:27 or 4:25, things like that. No? And then the justices were no longer there. And again, we filed an urgent motion to hear our TRO prayer. No? And we are thankful to the Supreme Court that they had a special raffle. They were able to assign that to a particular justice. And we are thankful that we heard late in the evening, around 9 o'clock, Attorney Torion called me up, asked me that, okay, sabihin sa akin, Panjero, punta tayo sa Supreme Court kasi makakakuha tayo ng TRO.
So yung ba ang basis? Because there was a social media post that came out where you were announcing that you were able to obtain a TRO.
I have to believe Attorney Torion because he is the one who filed. He is the lead lawyer in this particular petition. So I was so happy. Who would not be happy? We were already stressed the whole morning, afternoon, and we were in Villamor waiting for whatever development. And then Attorney Torion, retired General Pasi was with me there. and Philip Salvador was also with me there in the Resource World area. And then Attorney Torion asked us that, let's go to the Supreme Court because we can get the TRO. So we were so happy. I was very, very happy.
Meron
Of course.
TRO. Because there are others who are commenting that you should face sanctions for spreading fake news. So what is your comment on that?
News. It was not a fake news. It was a statement from the lead counsel that we could get the TRO now. So takbo kami sa Supreme Court. We drove to the Supreme Court. Attorney Torion and I and Philip Salvador, magkakaiba kami ng sasakyan. Nagkawalaan pa nga kami. Nakita-kita na lang kami sa Supreme Court. We arrived there something like about 9 o'clock
and then
or 9:30.
you found out na walang TRO.
So we waited. Attorney Torion was ahead of us by a few minutes. So dinatnan ko na si Attorney Torion doon, nakaupo doon. Sabi niya, ano nangyari? Sabi niya, wala pang lumalabas eh. Wala pang ano. Sabi ko, pero nag-meeting ba talaga yung Supreme Court? Hindi namin alam kung nag-meeting. So we are hoping that they are discussing our motion for the issuance of a TRO. So we waited for maybe an hour in the Supreme Court. No, sabi ko sa kanya, Panyaro, siguro wala. Let's go back to Villamor and let's tell the people there.
But let's go back to the legalities. Based on what laws we have right now, including our laws on violations of humanitarian rights, what would have been the process that should have been followed in enforcing an Interpol request and a warrant of arrest from the ICC?
Remember, Attorney Karen, that in our courses of political law and constitutional law, the one that has primacy jurisdiction or the primacy of the Constitution at all times, when there is conflict between an international law or international law principle, and we are talking of how its effects here in the Philippines, always the domestic law prevails. The Constitution or any law will be more primary than an international law like the Rome Statute.
So kailangan sundin yung proseso na yung kilatisin yung order of arrest or the accused would have the opportunity to appear.
Yes, that's right.
And question that order of arrest before a competent court.
Despite the fact that we follow the doctrine of incorporation pursuant to the provision again of our Constitution under Article 2, Section 3, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, that the Philippines adopt the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land. So be it, yes, correct. But when that international law principle or the international law itself, like the Rome Statute, contravenes the provision of the Constitution of the Philippines will prevail. And clearly, yung Rome Statute itself is not contrary to the provision of the Constitution. Kasi sinasabi doon sa Article 59, sinasabi dito, a state party who has received a request for a provisional arrest. Tingnan mo, nakalagay doon, provisional arrest ang nakalagay sa Article 59, should go immediately to the competent authority, judicial authority, to make sure that the rights of the accused who is going to be arrested will be properly observed. And that includes what? It is issued by the ICC, meaning to say it's authentic, and the person named in that warrant of arrest is the person to be arrested, and including his right for provisional liberty. Pwede siyang makalaya temporarily.
So Attorney Sal said hindi rin nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na maligo man lang si former president or magpalit ng damit o magdala ng pampalit ng damit. So, would the haste in which he was taken into custody and then flown out, do you know who paid for the chartered plane that was used?
Well, in yesterday's conference that I had in another station, I was one of the guests, and then followed by DILG Secretary John Vic Rimulya, the same question was asked. Sino ang nagbayad doon sa pag-charter ng eroplano? Inamin niya, Office of the President. I think that is recorded. And for how much, we do not know. Some are speculating that it could be more than 5 million or 7 million. Sino may-ari ng chartered plane? May mga chismis, may mga rumor na sinasabi nila pag-aari ng isang congressman. Pero yung congressman yata, dinay na niya na sa kanya yung eroplano na ginamit. Kung sino man yun. Pero ito ang maliwanag. Bakit nagmamadali talaga sila? Meron
because based
commercial
on the ICC, yes, I think from what we know, if ICC were to enforce
Yes.
order of arrest, meron daw commercial flights. Doon
Yes.
daw isasakay.
Meron namang commercial flights from Manila going to Europe via wherever, Dubai, Singapore, Tokyo, China. Pwede ka naman makarating sa Europe via commercial flight. Pero bakit? As early as 2:00 pa lang ng hapon, ay talagang pinagpipilitan na nilang isakay sa eroplano si PRRD. One thing is certain, gusto lang nila talagang matanggal na si PRRD dito sa political equation. Dahil sa kampanyang ito, wherever we go, all over the Philippines, Visayas, Mindanao, and even ang Luzon, pag dumating ang isang digong, tatay digong, sa rally or sa meeting na yon, dinadagsa ng mga tao. Hindi namin kailangan maghakot. Basta alam nilang darating ang digong. And we have seen that in the few rallies that we went together, including in Hong Kong. Kaya, yun ang kanilang kinatatakutan siguro, dahil gusto nila walang manalo sa amin sa PDP-Laban. That's the reason, one of the primary reason, that's why they have to remove Tatay Digong immediately.
There are reports that 10 others, including Senators Bato Dela Rosa and Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, are also being charged or have been charged by the ICC. Are you aware of these cases?
I heard also that there are pending complaints that were filed in the ICC that would be resolved. But ito, klarong-klaro sa ating saligang batas. Kahit na dito na lang sa Rome Statute na pinag-uusapan natin. Under the principle of complementarity, if the state itself, like Philippines, cannot investigate or cannot prosecute these cases under its existing legal system, then the ICC is the court of last resort. Nakalagay yan.
Last resort. Yeah.
The court of last resort. Pero hindi. Meron tayong umaandar na wheel of justice dito. Malakas ang ating prosecutorial service. Ito na nga, sinasabi na nga ng undersecretary na, malakas yung ating kwan eh. He is even acting that he is the competent or judicial authority.
But Attorney Raul, I'll ask you as a lawyer, don't you see that also as a predicament? Meaning, the judicial system, if it were functioning, then it would be the government's responsibility to prosecute these cases, which would be the DOJ.
Yes.
So, the Quadcom hearings we've had, from other reports after the Quadcom hearings concluded, there were statements that they would recommend the filing of certain cases based on the Quadcom hearings, and former President Duterte also appeared in those hearings. So,
correct,
parang yung bola is in the court of the Philippine government to file those cases. So, to the extent that they can say that kailangan ICC na mag-take jurisdiction, it's the same principle of complementarity that if they say that there are no cases filed here, there's no, or ICC says na walang functioning judicial system because there is no genuine prosecution, then doesn't that point to also this government as not doing anything to prosecute? Parang what I'm saying is, yung ability to withhold the prosecution is what also would give ICC jurisdiction. That's to simplify that statement.
First and foremost, you cannot surrender your sovereignty. So that is already admission. Sinurrender na natin ang Pilipinas at ang karapatan ng taong bayan sa mga banyaga. Iabulis na natin itong bansang ito kung ganun din lamang. At maging ano na lang tayo. Maging ano na lang, vassal state na lang tayo.
Raul, here's my question. So there are some commentaries, even in international news, I've been watching them, and articles as well, where there have been observations by even outsiders that this the ICC arrest came at a time where there's a political feud between two powerful families. So if there is any indication that the ICC's process and proceedings are being used as a political tool,
yes,
or as you call it, a political persecution,
it is.
Would that be taken into account by the ICC in terms of their proceedings or in finding merit in the case?
Well, I hope so. That the ICC would not be very biased, would not be politicized. It will not become a party to a political persecution and political oppression committed by this government against former President Duterte. Because if it's going to be politicized, then it will lose its credibility at all. That's the reason why many countries in the world, including the most powerful ones, don't believe in the ICC. Hindi nga pinapaliwanaan ito ng Amerika eh. Yung Amerika na kaalyado natin, that we are very close, that we believe in what the Americans do, bakit natin papayagan ang Pilipinas na maging sunod-sunuran sa banyaga. Pinaglaban natin itong tinatawag natin kasarinlan, kalayaan natin. Dahil lamang sa politika ngayon, ang isang dating presidenteng naglingkod ng tama ay isusurrender natin ang ating soberenya sa mga banyaga. If this is the situation here in the Philippines, we do not have the right anymore to exist as a sovereign state. We better apply as a state of the United States or maybe a part of another state in Europe if we believe of the European way of life and exercise of government. Kaya ito ang sinasabi ko, Karen, no? Maliwanag itong Rome Institute na if there is investigation being conducted or already conducted, then the case would not be admissible anymore in the International Criminal Court. I mentioned already the investigation conducted by De Lima when she was the Secretary of Justice from 2011 to 2016. They were in power. So there was investigation. So wala na yung mga kaso na yun na sinasabi na, I think 19 cases yung sinasabi of drug use and thieves. Kasama ba sa crimes against humanity? Yung crimes against thieves, no? Second, yung crimes committed from 2016 to 2019. Were there investigation conducted by the government? There was very recently, as you mentioned, yung Senate investigation under Senator Risa Ontiveros or under Coco Pimentel, yata siyang chair yata noon, ng special committee. So there was investigation by the Philippine government and then followed by the investigation of the so-called Quadcom. So there was investigation that happened in the Philippines. Ergo, it cannot admit anymore, the ICC should not admit any more cases pertaining to those mentioned in the charge that was brought in 2017. Wala nang jurisdiction dito ang ICC, assuming that the Rome Institute would still be applied here in the Philippines.
And Attorney Raul, last question. You are an aspirant under the PDP-Laban senatorial slate. And like you said, dati pag nag-iikot kayo, talagang pumupunta yung mga crowds. Pag nalaman nilang dadating si Tatay Digong, paano ngayon na wala po si Tatay Digong, nasa Hague siya? Are you still going to continue your rounds, PDP-Laban?
Yes. The more that we become energetic, the more that we work hard. To be frank with you, for the last 3 nights, siguro mga 4 hours pa lang yung tulog ko. Because we really have to answer, we really have to tell our people na hindi pa tayo natatalo dito kahit wala na si Tatay Digong dito. Physically, he may not be around, but all the legacies, lahat ng kaisipan kayo, alam ng Pilipino kung gaano kamahal ni Tatay Digong ang mga Pilipino. Kaya tuloy-tuloy lang yung aming ginagawa ngayon. First, sabihin ko, I never planned or dreamed of running for senator. That it was Tatay Digong who told me, September 24 through Executive Secretary Bidaldea, sabi niya, Raul, gusto ni Mayor, kasama ka sa line-up ng PDP. Sabi ko, boss, hindi ako artista. Hindi ako entertainer. I am not a member of the media. Hindi ako kilala ng mga tao. Sabi niya, maniwala ka. Sinabi ni Mayor, mananalo ka. So, I consulted my family. Walang may gusto na tumakbo ako rito. But, you know, the words of Mayor Digong, PRRD, is so valuable to me na, okay, isama niyo ako dyan. And I only started campaigning February 11. From October 8 to February 10, wala, hindi ako lumabas o nagkabit ng kung anumang poster dyan. Wala. Ang makikita nyo sa social media account ko, before February 11, ang nakalagay doon, panibaka, kalabaw, gansa. Yun ang aking ginagawa. Kasi isa na lamang po akong ordinaryong magsasaka ngayon. Hindi na po ako yung full-time na abogado. So, that's how I wanted to come out as a candidate in this election. But starting February 11 until now, I am a candidate for the Senate, number 34, under PDP-Laban.
Thank you so much, Attorney Raul Lambino, and good luck in the 2025 elections.
Thank you, Attorney Karen. Thank you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, mga minamahal na kababayan. Huwag niyo pong kalilimutan, magdasal po tayo. Yung pagmamahal natin kay Tatay Digong, pagmamahal natin sa bansang Pilipinas at sa bawat Pilipino. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you. At the Forefront will return with Senator Bato Dela Rosa.
Para sa pag-uswag kan mga Bicolano, kaipuhan ibalik ang Bicol Express. Kaipuhan na sing tibay, sing rikas ng bullet train gikat sa Japan. Bullet train para sa Bicol, ang programa kan Bicol Saro na mataong kaugmahan sa pamilyang Bicolano. Kafuerting proyekto kan Bicol Saro para sa pinakamarikas na Bicol Express. Bicol to Quezon in just 1 hour.
Bicol to Manila in just 3 hours. Bicol Saro. Ang party list na magtataon ng progreso para sa mga Bicolano.
Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb.
The questions.
What did you uncover?
Nakita natin yung sa IPO. There was a violation of Section 8 of Republic Act 9511.
The issues.
Is there a problem with that, the present setup of the syntax?
The reason there's a 5% increase is because of inflation.
We clarify matters.
All these government agencies were actually the lowest. That's why it has to be, I hope that it will be addressed.
Pinky Web is always on point.
And I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more, just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to host one Baptist more. Da-la-da, 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 da-la-da-la-da-la-da, oh yeah. Da-la-da, 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 da-la-da-la-da-la-da. Oh, and the world comes alive, and the world comes alive, and the world comes alive. Oh, oh, oh.
Magandang gabi, ako po si Pinky Webb. At ako naman si Corina Sanchez Rojas.
Kombinasyong Corina Sanchez Rojas at Pinky Web. Dalawang mamamahayag na subok sa tapang at talino.
Simulcast tayo sa DWAR, Abante Radyo at 94.7 Mellow BFM. Mapapanood din tayo sa Abante Teletabloid sa Sky Cable. Sa bawat issue may anggulo at ang balita may agenda.
Welcome back at the forefront. We now have with us via phone patch Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa. Good morning, Senator Bato.
Good morning, Karen, at good morning sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Senator Bato, kamusta naman po kayo?
Okay lang, Karen. Okay lang.
At nasaan po ba kayo? Nasa Manila or Davao?
Basta, andito ko sa Manila.
Okay. Bilang isang kaibigan po ni former President Duterte, ano po yung naramdaman ninyo dun sa nangyari sa kanya? Pati yung pagpapaaresto po sa kanya?
Malungkot ako. Very sad. At wala akong helpless ako. I want to help him but wala tayong magawa talaga.
And kayo po dati bilang polis, nag-aaresto rin kayo. Yung manner of arrest po ba, do you think dapat, kasi some people are commenting na sana man lang daw po may courtesy bilang former president po ng Pilipinas na in the manner he was arrested. Kasi hindi nga daw po man lang pinayagan na makaligo or magdala ng pagpalit ng damit or ng kahit toothbrush man lang. So, ano pong masasabi nyo dito?
I don't know the urgency of the orders given to General Torino. Kung bakit gano'n sila nagmamadali. I don't know talaga. I don't know. But sa akin, if it was a normal, regular enforcement operations, it could have been done in a very gentlemanly manner at a courteous manner. Pwede naman pakiusapan na ganito ganon. Huwag daanin sa disrespect at saka sa yung parang you are treating the former president as an ordinary criminal. So all I can say is that the one leading the arrest is lasing sa kapangyarihan.
Paano niyo po planong suportahan si Tatay Digong habang nasa kustodiya siya ng ICC?
I don't know, Karen, paano. He is beyond reach and he is beyond our jurisdiction. So whatever actions, legal actions that we are going to do here in our territory, I don't think it matters pagdating doon sa ICC. I don't know really.
But meron po ba kayong at least na pag-asa na meron pang magagawa dito? Because the Supreme Court, as of yesterday, came out with a statement that there are 3 petitions for certiorari, prohibition, and for habeas corpus that are pending with them. And then they required members of the government to respond and show cause in a non-extendable period of 24 hours as to why writ of habeas corpus should not issue.
Well, until now, I'm still very hopeful that the Supreme Court remains independent and is going to do its job according to its constitutional mandate at hindi magpapa-impluensya whatever influence na pwedeng makaka-affect sa kanilang magiging decision. I'm still very hopeful na Supreme Court will be fair enough and all their actions will be just for everyone. So, ayun lang. Umaasa lang ako talaga sa Supreme Court as of now. Sana merong fairness pa tayong ma-experience dito sa Pilipinas. Because I believe that Supreme Court is a co-equal branch of government. Dapat hindi sila madiktahan ng Malacanang. Not even the Congress can influence Supreme Court. So I have high hopes that Supreme Court remains true to its mandate.
Senator Bato, may pagkakataon po ba kayong makausap man lang si former President Duterte from the time that he was taken into custody?
Wala na talaga. Kahit nga dito pa sa Pilipinas yun, hirap ang kontak mo dahil hindi man yun humahawak ng cellphone. Magtatanong-tanong lang tayo kung sinong mga malapit sa kanya na nandoon malapit sa kanya at pwedeng ipasa ang cellphone. Yun man lang pamamaraan natin. Pero yung directly sa kanya, wala man siyang hawakan na cellphone kasi. So, lalo na ngayon na wala na tayong aid na mapakiusapan na ipasa yung cellphone sa kanya. The only one who is there with him is former Executive Secretary Mijaldia. Pero problema ngayon, hiwalay na sila at as of yesterday, yung nabalitaan ko, hindi niya makita. I don't know kung nag-reconnect na sila. Kasi hinahanap daw niya, hindi niya ma-locate si President Duterte kung nasaan na. So, ang hirap talaga ng kontak doon sa kanila. Lalo na ngayon.
Senator, nakatrabaho niyo po si former President Duterte. Sa pagkakaalam niyo po ba, may kapasidad siya na to maintain his own medications? Kasi meron daw pong mga maintenance medicines si PRRD.
Meron talaga dapat siyang kasama na mag-alalay sa kanya. Lalo na ngayon sa edad niya at saka sa sitwasyon where he is thin, he should have been supported by at least isa man lang na nakakaalam kung anong gamot inumin niya sa oras na ito, anong gamot ang ititake niya sa araw na ito. So dapat ganun na mayroon sanang mag-alalay. Pero sadly, nobody can take care of him right now.
Bukod po sa inyo, may siyam pa raw na kakasuhan or kinasuhan na ng ICC, including Senator Alan Peter Cayetano at former Senator Richard Gordon. Do you have information po tungkol dito?
I don't know. Wala ko information patungkol dyan.
Meron po kasing list na lumabas and I think meron ditong 11, including former Solgen Jose Calida, and you are also included here. Sa inyo po ba meron ng communication din, whether it's from ICC or any other body that has informed you of these charges?
Wala naman. There was only one time na merong nag-email na claiming to be somebody from ICC. Nag-email doon sa opisina ko. Pero in-ignore namin dahil, we maintain our position that they don't have jurisdiction over us. So communicating with them is tantamount to acknowledging their jurisdiction over us. So hindi namin pinansin, hinayaan lang namin.
And sa inyo po bang pananaw ay makakapunta pa kayo, makakadulog kayo, may time kayong dumulog sa korte? Considering that you've seen what happened to former President Duterte, na sa kanya po wala nang time in the way that they carried out the arrest.
I will talk to them, whoever is going to implement or is going to execute implement the warrant of arrest against me. I will talk to them police to police. I have been their chief PNP before, and I will talk to them, police to police. Tingnan natin kung ano yung sabihin nila. Pag-usapan ko sila na for the time being, kalimutan nyo muna yung anong instruction sa inyo. Kalimutan nyo muna. Let's be rational enough to listen to the points that I'm going to raise before you. So, yun ang magiging approach ko. Kalimutan nyo muna na may instruction sa inyo. Kasi yung instruction naman sa inyo ay coming from somebody upstairs na yun naman ang kailang basis naman daw kuno is yung commitment sa Interpol, which is a lot of bullshit. I don't accept that reasoning, no? I don't accept that reasoning. You are going to implement a warrant of arrest coming from somebody which is not a competent authority as far as Philippine is concerned, because hindi naman tayo talaga obligado sa kanila dahil wala naman sa jurisdiction sa atin. So, kung gamitin pa nila uli yung lame excuse nila about Interpol, makipagdebate ako sa kanila hanggang kahit isang taon ako makipagdebate sa kanila.
Are you worried po that you will be helpless from a political standpoint because you've seen that this was still enforced against a former president of the Philippines, and kayo po as a senator, kahit papano, mas malayo po yun from being a former president. Are you worried that you'll be helpless in terms of being subjected to a sudden arrest?
Yeah. I am expecting for the worst, Karen. I am expecting for the worst. Because this administration is talagang focused on dismantling us, the Duterte and the Duterte associates. Talagang they're focused on demolish everyone to make way for their plans in the coming 2028 elections. So I am expecting for the worst. No, hindi mo pwedeng you are not going to take this lightly, because alam mo na, if they did it to a former president, why can't they do it to a former chief PNP and now a sitting senator? Kaya nilang gawin yan.
Nagbigay ka po ng pahayag kahapon na mas gugustuhin mo pang makulong kasama ni former President Duterte at alagaan siya sa ICC detention facility. Ano po ba ang turing ninyo kay former President Duterte? Gaano po siya kalapit sa inyo?
Well, may bigay kong tulong, no, Karen. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot provide him legal counseling. I am only an ordinary person. Siguro, ang maitulong ko sa kanya is moral, physical, sa health niya, even spiritual. There would be a great time for us to talk about everything under the heat of the sun, just to kill the time. At malaking bagay yan sa kanya. Na-observe ko nga nung nasa Malacanang siya na sobrang stressful yung buhay niya bilang presidente. At pag nakita niya kaming bumibisita sa kanya sa Malacanang, kami mga long-time friends niya, nakikita ko nabubuhayan siya, parang nag-sparkle yung kanyang mata, parang bumabalik yung kanyang kabataan. Pag nakita niya kami mga lumang kaibigan niya. So I hope with my presence it can boost his longevity at least sa kanyang sitwasyon ngayon. Siguro makakasurvive siya pag more chances of survival kapag nandun ako, makatulong-tulong sa kanya. In whatever way I can.
So outside of just being former colleagues, talagang malalim po yung pagkakaibigan ninyo. Sino po ba si former President Duterte sa buhay ni Senator Bato Dela Rosa?
Yeah, alam mo, yung aking pagiging pulis, marami na akong dinaan ng frustration sa buhay. There were times na I was about to surrender dahil sa aking enthusiasm sa aking trabaho noon. Wala akong kinikilalang kahit na mga political warlord doon sa Mindanao. Anybody coming from Cotabato or Lanao na warlord, pagpapasok sa Davao City, pinagdidisarmahan ko yan because bawal magdala ng long firearms doon sa loob ng Davao City. So, sangkatutak na kaso, dahil lalong-lalo na kung yung warlord na yun ay nakakulik sa Malacanang, talagang re-risbak ang kaso. Ang dami kong kaso. So, dumating yung punto, Karen, na hindi ako ma-promote. Yung aking mga classmate ay mga colonel na. Meron ng full colonel. Ako, major pa rin dahil hindi ko ma-promote. So, I was about to surrender. I told my wife na mag-resign na lang ako dahil hirap pala ng buhay ng pulis talaga. Kung magtrabaho ka, hindi ka promote. Samantala yung mga classmate ko na nasa opisina lang, pencil posing lang ang trabaho, ay ang bilis ma-promote. Full colonel na. Ako, major pa rin. So mag-resign ako. But here comes, nalaman ni Mayor Duterte yung aking predicament. Siyang gumawa ng paraan. Paano ma-dismiss yung aking mga kaso? Tinulungan niya ako. Kuha siya ng abogado. Mga kaso ko sa ombudsman, pinasikaso niya. So, na-dismiss yung mga kaso at finally, na-promote din ako. So, ganun po ang aking utang na loob sa kanya. There were times na yung nalaman niya na namatay yung tatay ko, wala ako dito, nandun ako nag-schooling ako sa ibang bansa. Siya ang nag-asikaso. Ginastusan niya nung siya ay mayor. So, gano'n na lang po yung utang na loob ko sa kanya. At who was Bato then? Before siya naging presidente si Digong. I was nobody. Kita niya yung potential ko. Kita niya yung dedication ko sa trabaho. Kahit na one-star general lang ako nung siya naging presidente, talagang inappoint niya ako. Ang one-star, pinomote niya ako ng four-star general kasi nakita niya yung potential ko at yung aking puso sa trabaho. So, yun, ganun na lang ang aking utang na loob sa kanya dahil sa kanyang tulong. Kasi yung pagtulong niya sa akin, hindi lang naman actually akong tinulungan niya, kundi lahat ng tao na natutulungan ko in my capacity as a chief PNP or whatever capacity, ay nakikinabang rin dahil sa kanyang binigyan na tulong sa akin. Kung hindi niya ako tulungan, hindi ako niya tinulungan, hindi ako nakatulong sa ibang tao. So ganun po ang aming pinagsamahan. At Karen, I think you will believe me na never in how many more than 30 years of professional and personal relationship namin ni President Duterte, never niya ginamit yung kanyang pagiging mayor or pagiging presidente for his personal agenda. Never. Kahit nasabihin mong putulan mo ko ng league ngayon, never ako talaga inutusan niya ng kalukuhan na gagawa ng ganito para sa kanyang political agenda. So, ganun lang po ang respeto ko sa tao because with his enormous power, with his enormous influence, still, nanatili siyang yung ordinaryo, mahiyain nga, yung basta mag-express ka sa kanya ng utang na loob, para bang leading towards expressing your loyalty towards him. Ang response ka ganyan, no. Ay, tumatayo yung balahibo ko. Huwag ka na magsabi na gano'n. Masyadong kuwan na tao. Yung grounded na walang kahit kunting yabang.
Kaya pala willing po kayo na samahan siya sa ICC detention facility. Talagang napakalalim po ng pinagsamahan ninyo. Kung may pagkakataon po kayong makausap siya ngayon, ano po yung gusto niyo sabihin sa kanya? Hello, Senator Bato.
I'm trying to...
I'm sorry, but...
I'm trying to compose myself.
Opo, parang ano nga po
myself.
kayo, emotional...
I'm trying to compose myself. Pasensya ka na. Pasensya ka na.
Sige po, take your time, Senator.
I'm going to tell him na, sir, yung wala lang sa kanya. Just remember, sir, what you said before. You're willing to live in hell as long as your people are living in heaven. You must be living in hell right now in ICC, but remember the people, yung mga taong sinaganda mo ang buhay. Kasama na ko doon.
Salamat po, Senator.
Sabi mo, huwag kalimutan. God is watching. God is watching. Sige lang, sir. We will overcome all this crisis that we are now facing. Hindi lang naman ikaw ang nasasaktan ngayon. Buong Pilipinas, kung makita mo yung expression of support, yung rally, kaliwa, kanan, candle lighting, kahit saan, anong lugar, makikita mo man kung gaano nakalap si Pangulong Duterte.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Bato. Sana po nandito kayo at it's such an emotional message po for our former president.
Hindi ko kaya ka rin kumarap sa kamera kung ganitong sitwasyon. Hirap. Sige, Karen, salamat ha.
Maraming salamat po, Senator Bato. At sana po makita namin kayo in person soon.
Sige, Karen. Thank you, Karen.
Senatorial aspirants Atty. Raul Lambino and Bato Dela Rosa stand firm in defending former President Rodrigo Duterte against the actions of the International Criminal Court, framing the case as a political persecution and asking for unity among Duterte supporters. As the May elections draws near, their unwavering loyalty to the former president could shape voter sentiment and test the strength of his political influence. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again on Monday for meaningful conversations that would help you form an objective personal opinion. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.